Howdy, I'm Matthew Gage, pastor at Faith Baptist Church in Decatur, Texas, and this is our daily Bible study video, and we are in Genesis chapter number 33. Genesis chapter number 33, and this one's only 20 verses long. I don't think it'll take us too long to get through this. I feel like I owe y'all some time because a couple of those videos a few back got a little bit long. So anyway, Genesis chapter 33, that we finally have what's been set up here for a couple chapters, and that is the meeting between Jacob and Esau. And then we'll have Jacob getting into the land and getting set up. So kind of setting up house there back in the land. So let's just jump right on in. Genesis chapter number 33, verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came. Now, I want to point out here is the way it looks to me is almost like this is right on the tails of the events of the previous chapter where he had wrestled with God, where he had been crippled in that, and here he comes hobbling across the river Jabbok there, and then you look up and here comes Esau, the cloud of dust and stuff, and here comes Esau. I don't know that there's a lot of time passing between these two events, just the way that that's described. Let's see, but behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the two handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. Now, if this was, I don't know if this is one of the things, I don't want to read battle strategy and stuff into this, but if he's sacrificing who's important to him and keeping back safest, who is most important, well, the two handmaids / wives that he had, we can sacrifice them, and then we can sacrifice Leah, and then we'll sacrifice Rachel last. I think you might can read into a little bit of that. Of course, where's Joseph? Or Joseph, the child, is right there at the very back too, because he's very precious in the side of Jacob. Verse 3, and he passed over before them. To Jacob's credit, he's got them kind of protected, but he's going out. Everything has been doing very defensive. Now he's really stepping up here to go forward himself. It says, passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. So multiple acts of humility coming forward. Verse 4, and Esau ran to meet him, and right there I can just imagine Jacob's heart just, skipping a beat. It says, and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So just like two brothers should who have been apart, two family members who have been apart, they come together, and there's love there, not animosity, not hatred. Verse 5. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, who are those with thee? So Esau said, well, who are all these people? And he said, the children which God hath graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaids came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. So introducing the family, hey, Esau, look, here's your nephews, and here's your sister-in-laws, but introducing them in this manner. Verse number 8. And he, that's Esau, said, what meanest thou by all this drove which I met? Meaning all those gifts that came to him, all the animals that Jacob had set ahead. And he said, these are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. So it's saying, this is yours. You can keep it. I have plenty. I don't need this. Probably in his mind too, he's thinking, last time I took something from my brother, it cost me my birthright. I don't want to take anything else. Verse 10, and Jacob said, nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing, which is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. So Jacob responding back, a lot of kindness here. It's almost anticlimactic in a way, because you've what's been building up is Jacob has been so scared, and here comes Esau with all these men, and now here they are, they're just hugging and crying, and hey, meet the family. And Esau saying, look, you didn't have to bring anything, you didn't have to send me a gift. And Jacob saying, yes, no, I want to do this. You can have it. And no, here he's talking about God dealing with him and these different things. Jacob is a very different man these 20 years after he left. God has humbled him just very recently, but he's learned a lot of lessons along the way, and he's not the same man that he once was. And I think that is a lot of what Esau is responding to. Verse number 12. And he said, let us take our journey and let us go, and I will go before thee. Verse number 13, he said unto him, my Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me, and if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure, until I come unto my Lord unto Seir. So, Esau saying, hey, well, let's go back home. And Jacob saying, look, you got to be concerned. I got all this flock. You've only got 400 guys. I've got all about, the sheep and cattle and goats and things. It's going to take us a little while. So saying, go on. And, we're going to have to go slow, but I'll come to you. Verse 15, Esau said, let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, what needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau saying, well, look, I know you've got it hard. Let me leave some people to help you. Like I said, they're just tripping over each other, being nice to each other in this encounter. Verse 16, so Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him an house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. The place now that Jacob goes, that name means Sukkoth. I don't know if I'm saying that quite right, but that word means a tabernacle, a booth, a tent. In fact, when we get to the Feast of Tabernacles, a little bit later on, that's that same word that's used. Sukkot, I think is the way they pronounce it now. So it's like I say, same word, but now he's come in, he's setting up a place to live. And, getting tents and stuff. He's really getting ready to be and dwell back in the land that was promised by God to Abraham, to Isaac, and now to Jacob. Verse 18, and Jacob came to Shalom, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. So this place is coming, it's over by the Jordan River. This place that he said, this is not Shalom, is not Jerusalem. This is a different place that he is at. And I kind of like that name actually would mean peace. So from my understanding, well, that's Shalom, that root is there. So after all this, there's peace there. I think that's wonderful. So verse number 19. And he bought a parcel of a field which he had where he had spread his tent, at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. So they come in and they come in, make a deal, and he buys this land to dwell on. Like I say, he's really putting down the roots here. He's not just camping around wherever he can. He's saying, I want a place, and he buys the rights, doesn't take it by force. I mean, this is very upright in the way he said. Didn't even try to swindle the guy. Look at how amazing that is. Like I say, Jacob has come a long way at this point. Verse 20, I think this is the most significant thing in this entire chapter. We survived meeting Esau, and that's a big deal, that Esau just didn't kill his scoundrel of a brother who had cheated him. Esau and him are at peace. There's peace in the family. And now Jacob's there. God has prospered him. He has family. He has possessions. But now look at verse 20. And he erected there an altar and called it El Elohi Israel. That name means God, the God of Israel. Now, who's Israel? Is he saying, oh, the God of the country? No, not the country of Israel, not the nation. No, he is Israel. Remember the name he got changed to. He's now Prince of God. So he's saying this place, this altar is dedicated to the God of me, the God of Israel. You could, to make that more personal, if I was there doing this very thing, it would be, this is God, the God of Matthew Gage. That would be the same thing. That's basically what he is doing. He's saying, this is my God. So from going from the guy who is a scoundrel, who's a cheat, to the one who's saying, well, God, if you'll help me, we'll work out a deal and I will serve you if you help me, to being the God he calls out in desperation to being the God he wrestles with to receive a blessing. Now Jacob is to the point he can now say, God, you are my God personal. Jacob's faith, I think, is now come complete at this point. So it's a wonderful, wonderful study. Abraham was a man of faith, it seems like, from the beginning. Isaac overlooked, but I think he's a man of faith also, especially when you look at his actions. Jacob is a man whose faith had to develop, and here it is come to fruition when he can set up a place to worship God there at where he's dwelling in his home, and saying, it is the God of Israel, the God of Jacob, the God, my God. So just wonderful, wonderful, that verse. I think that is a important verse in the life of Jacob right there. So anyway, we're going to call that good, and we're wrapped up chapter 33. Chapter 34 is a little bit fun. Can't wait to get to that, and we'll see what happens with some interactions with some of the locals, and it's not very good. We'll deal with this. Anyway, appreciate you watching. I hope it's been a help and a blessing to you.